welcome and hello to our next webinar with the topic Specialities ABB IBAS KNX. My name is Thorsten Reibel. I'm sitting here together with Jürgen Schilder as always. And yeah, we will share this webinar. Let's go directly to our presentation. What is the agenda for today? Yeah, a lot of small topics, let's say, and our target is to inform you about some specialties ABB IBAS KNX, some special things we have in our components and our software, maybe some unique features we have. So just to get an idea what is special in ABB IBAS KNX. And so there are a lot of topics. I would like to start with the IBAS tool, our unique service tool only ABB has for our KNX devices from ABB, followed by the KNX power supplies, this diagnostic, also unique, which gives you an added value if you use these components in a KNX installation. Yeah, then we have some small accessories, not so much known, but I think worth to talk about. It's a commissioning power supply, some wiring jumpers and bus bars. Yeah, we call it useful accessories. And, of course, our room solutions, the room controller, room master, and also the I/O actuator, which is not completely new, but has also some nice and specific features only ABB has. Regarding the switch actuators, only a very small information what is specific here. And then we continue a bit with the DALI components, DALI KNX gateways and controller, our family of 6 devices for all requirements. Then a group of components we already, let me say, introduced to you in the last webinar, so monitoring and data logging units, very specific but beneficial devices, and also these application units, logic and time, and the logic module is something which is very often necessary, gives you also some special features inside. Another product is a universal I/O concentrator. Not so many people know, and still sometimes necessary to collect a lot of binary inputs, but not only, you will see what's behind. And then we have integrated the first time also a component from our sister company Busch Jaeger, the new family of Busch presence detectors. My headline here is best in design and functionality. It's really something which is amazing, a fantastic product, and also since the market launch beginning of this year, a very successful and powerful device. Then Jürgen will follow with the topic KNX and security. You know, this is also ABB specific topic. We can give you a lot of solutions here. Also here kind of update and the actual, let me say, range what we have here. Furthermore, metering together with KNX, something we have here in ABB, also a bit specific with our meter interface, but not only, you will see. And regarding shutter control, a special solution. Sometimes in use, you will see what's behind this. It's more than up and down, my headline here. Followed by the KNX EnOcean gateway, which is a solution to connect wireless sensors mainly. Also thanks to our IBAS tool, a specific feature we have here nobody else can offer together with KNX. And then some smaller topics. First of all, a software topic, conversion of application and copy and exchange to plugins in the ETS, either only available for ABB products, and then some more technical aspects we have collected here. We think it's important to know, and not everybody is aware of this. And last but not least, not only hard and software is important, but also marketing tools, everything around this to help us to sell these solutions. So a completion of our offer. Also here some news and some a summary of all what we have here. Okay, let's go directly to the first topic, ABB IBAS tool. Not new, many of you hopefully know this. Software. It's only a software free of charge, just to make commissioning and testing of products in an installation easier. So it helps you to get access to a device and check the functions directly with this tool, check status information, simulate functions, for example. So it's an additional helpful tool for our customers to work with ABB IBAS KNX. Yeah. It's not available at the moment for all, especially older devices, but for all new components it will come, and I will give you just an overview of all the supported components. Yeah, we see it here on the next slide. So what is supported at the moment, the current status, the DALI components, both on the DALI side for DALI addressing, for assigning groups, DALI groups, important, but also for the light controller solutions to calibrate constant light control. So here it's more or less a must to use this IBAS tool, and makes life much easier than using the ETS only for doing this job. Yeah, our energy actuator, energy module, Jürgen will come to this a bit later, metering in principle, a very simple way to display the measured values. Shutter actuators together with the IBAS tool allow you very easy and comfortable to operate the hanging the shutters behind to see the actual status, to simulate functions as well. Yeah, line coupler support, yeah, mainly to see some status information. For example, also the filter table can be visualized here together with this IBAS tool. And my next part will be this new or relatively new power supplies diagnosis. Yeah, ABB specific components with intelligence behind, also possible here to visualize the measured values and the status information out of these diagnostic power supplies together with the IBAS tool. Yeah, security topic, our powerful KNX security panel, supported to get access via Ethernet to this device, and with the actual version we have a so-called S-bus calculator, means we can calculate the cable length depending on the connected devices with the internal security bus we have in this device. So it's just in the new version available. Yeah, weather station, weather unit, also the analog input. These components we have launched half a year ago. Also here, together with the IBAS tool, you can visualize values and check the status, plus also change some thresholds, for example. So also a nice feature to test everything around the weather station. Yeah, the EnOcean gateway will be shown later on as well. The support we have only in ABB available for EnOcean gateways together with the IBAS tool, just to detect the signal strength of the connected sensors. Our new Fenco actuators, of course, also supported, possible here to operate all in and outputs. That's available. Yeah, and the next webinar in October, it will come for sure with a new IP router and IP interface, either supported by the IBAS tool. We will see what's behind. No information at the moment, and as already mentioned, any new devices where it makes sense will be added to this IBAS tool support continuously. So it's a dynamic process together with the IBAS tool with all new components. So ABB unique, nobody else has, and it's a real benefit for our customers, especially for these persons who are working practically with KNX and our components. Yeah, let's come to the KNX power supplies with diagnostic. We have two components here, 640 and 320 milliampere. If you look at the housing, you see it's different from the traditional KNX power supplies. We have some LEDs here, also a button, a reset button in this example, just to visualize directly on the component the actual status. Has to do with traffic, has to do with overcurrent, has to do with showing the current itself in steps. So a simple and easy way to check some main features or main status information directly at the device. But furthermore, it's a KNX device, means not only a simple power supply, but with integrated bus coupler, which allows you to program such a component with physical address, but also with parameters, group addresses, with an application, which allows you to read out the status information out of the component directly via the bus. For example, overcurrent, the actual value for voltage and current, everything can be transmitted via KNX, for example, to any visualization to check is everything correct with this power supply with a line behind. So this gives you an additional feature here, let me say, safety for a KNX power supply. Plus, if you want, you can also trigger a bus reset. Means from a bus, from any sensor, from the visualization, from the ETS, you can reset a line behind, so you don't have to walk to the distribution board and do this manually by any button or by removing the bus connection terminal. So, real different from all the traditional KNX power supplies, and if you look to the IBUS tool support, all these values, the status information we have in the power supply, diagnostic power supply, can be seen here directly on this IBUS tool. If you have created a connection to this power supply, plus 3 additional information, operating hours in total, operating hours since last startup, and how many times startup took place. So it gives you an additional information what happened in the past with the operation of this power supply. Was it restarting many times due to any power failure, for example? But this is only available here in the IBUS tool. So a real, let me say, additional value here if you would like to enhance your KNX installation with an intelligent power supply. Finally, here's a summary of all 6 power supplies we have, besides the 3 standard ones. We have these 2 diagnostic, and last but not least, also this uninterruptible power supply allows you to connect any battery, to have an uninterruptible KNX power supply. In case of any power failure, KNX will run continuously. For example, for any security related applications, it's more or less a must to do. We have another power supply, but don't mix it up. It's not a KNX, classical KNX power supply. It's only a simple power supply to connect more or less to one KNX device only, to operate manually a component if it's available here. For example, if there's no KNX power supply at the moment available, but you would like to check the manual operation and the load behind, you can use this component here. Very simple, you connect it only to the component. Here, this connector you plug into the socket, and then at least the manual operation is working. So there's no choke inside. Please don't use it for any communication, any download via any interface. That will not work. It's only for using this manual operation feature here in our KNX devices. And you can use it for any component which has manual operation available, of course. And further, an accessory, wiring jumpers. Very simple, you see here. It's nothing else but jumpers to connect in the distribution board DIN-rail components on the KNX side with each other. Horizontally, like this, or also vertically. And we have this available in different lengths. Completely prefabricated, so you don't have to do anything anymore. Makes it very fast now to connect on the in the distribution board any components. If you want, you can use it. Also a nice small, let me say, accessory. And another gimmick, let's say, or accessory here, these bus bars. You might know this from connecting different circuit breakers with the same phase with each other. Nothing else here. For example, you have a switch actuator with some channels next to each other, the connection terminals here, and you would link the same supply phase to all these, in this case, 4 relays. So you can use any jumpers as well, any wires, but you can use also these bus bars, and then it's very simple and very well connected to the next relays with the same phase. Available in different versions here, different number of contacts, and nothing special new, but also available or necessary, or let me say usable for KNX actuators, for example. And then let's come to our room automation components. You know our room controller, almost 10 years old in principle, and furthermore our room master family, plus the I/O actuator, which more or less belong to this family. So it's ABB specific. Not such a solution, especially like the room master, is not available on the market. You see here a solution for hotel room, but not only for hotel rooms, the room master. We can use it also for further, let me say, projects. Let's have a small look to these special ABB components. First of all, the room controller. We have this 8-volt room controller here and fourfold. In principle, you have modules you insert here into this device, and these modules are responsible for any function. We come to this on the next slide. So 4 and 8-fold. Additionally, not directly belonging to the room controller, but we have also DALI KNX gateway in this way of housing, let's say, in this kind of housing. It's a box, and normally used for installation in the wrong ceiling, in the underfloor, for example. And here also an analog input the same way. So you can be used, of course, also in this kind of installation. Yeah? So made for any decentralized installation. That's the target here. And you see on the next slide the principle. We can connect both any inputs, for example, conventional push buttons. Any other contacts could be also a smoke detector, or here is a, for example, watchdog sensor or a motion detector connected. But of course, all the loads we have in such a room, lighting on, off, so switching, dimming, constant light control can be established. Control of any motors, of course, shutter blinds, curtains, and very important as well, heating, cooling, ventilation. So all these possible solutions like valves, like fan coil units, or any fence itself can be connected here. So it's a clear room solution, and where you need decentralized installation in some projects, very interesting and also used, of course. Yeah, let's summarize here the arguments for these room controllers. In principle, one device per room or per unit, depends what you have. You can use it also for 2-3 rooms together, for example. But in principle, due to the collection of in and outputs inside, you have less KNX devices necessary. Yeah. Ideal sized for dimensions for installation in the false ceiling or in the underfloor. Yeah, this is very low in height, so typically installation there. Structured cabling and shorter cable routes. What does it mean? You need only one main supply to supply the KNX device here itself, the room controller, plus the connected loads. So not more is necessary, so loads can be connected directly here. Of course, additionally the KNX network to interconnect all these room controller for any central functions or whatever necessary. I mentioned already also fan coil units can be controlled, so all the traditional loads you have in a room can be linked here. And if you want, also possible to use a room controller as a standalone solution. After programming everything in and outputs in the device via KNX, of course, via KNX and ETS, you can disconnect the ETS, or the KNX cable, and then it would work thanks to the own power supply as an individual device in the room. Yeah, and the room master, coming back to the distribution board, you see here the component not for installation in the wrong ceiling, but in the distribution board. But again, here with a lot of in and outputs, similar concept. You can connect here all your inputs, whatever you have. In this case here, it's a room, hotel room. So any keycard reader, any master switch, any emergency button, for example, can be linked here. Plus, of course, all the outputs we discussed already, lighting, sockets, curtains, or room temperature control. And, of course, KNX will be connected to have any central access to this room, room master, for example, from the reception. The only thing I need as an additional KNX device is a room thermostat for a powerful room temperature control necessary. But this would be enough maybe for a small apartment or a hotel room, for example. And thanks to KNX connection, of course, any remote access is always available. We have a further feature here only ABB has, the internal connection. So if you know that inputs has to be linked to outputs of the same device, you don't have to work with group addresses. You can directly connect it in the ETS, in the application, with each other, and then it works like a normal KNX assignment. And if you want, you can add additional group addresses for an output, for example, due to access from any external device. No problem. Yeah, and if you look to the whole family of room master, there are 4 in total. The first 2 mainly created for hotel rooms, including also room temperature control outputs. The other two are more for classical apartments, let's say, with inputs and outputs, either for operating any circuits like or sockets, or also for motor control shutter and blinds. So you see a different combinations of in and outputs in these devices, but the concept is always the same. Internal connections are possible, and in principle, room solutions or apartment solutions. And one special feature in the software of the Room Master is valid for all the 4 Room Masters. We have the so-called room scenario intelligence inside. What does it mean? A room scenario is a special function which can be started either from any internal input of this device or externally via any telegram. And a lot of functions or telegrams can be sent out by using this room scenario to create a special room scenario in your project. For example, you operate any binary functions like sockets, you activate any scene, you change anything in the room thermostat, has to do with room temperature control. You can do it immediately, but also delayed, so also kind of time functions behind. So the principle is here to create functions the easy way with the room scenarios, where you need normally more intelligent devices, external intelligent devices like logic modules, for example. Directly everything integrated here and makes life a bit easier. Only in the Room Masters available. Let's summarize the arguments for the Room Master. 2 versions especially made for hotel rooms, very successful solutions over many years already. We have this unique software concept with the scenarios I just mentioned. Internal connections available. Furthermore, we have so-called pre-parameterized applications, also projects. So you can use these pre-parameterized applications and projects just as a plug-and-play solution if you want, or you change only parts of this solution. So can help also in some projects. One device solution, so cost efficiency is the topic here, and by connecting conventional push buttons makes it also even more efficient sometimes. Of course, if you need more, for example, additional DIMM outputs, not available in the Room Master itself, but of course can be added via KNX, and then you create your individual complete solution. And to this family of Room Masters belongs a bit, in my opinion, also the I/O actuators. Very similar to the Room Master, especially to the Room Master 4.1. Only inputs 8 and only outputs, in this case also 8. So 8 inputs, 8 outputs, or half of it 4 inputs and 4 outputs. But with less software functionality compared with the Room Master. So we do not have these scenarios, for example. We do not have any light scenes and other specialties, logical functions, for example. It's very simple in terms of application of parameters. Of course, also reduced in costs. And our target here is, not for every project, but for some projects, for example, to replace a conventional installation, for example. So any group or central commands, thanks to a KNX device, can be done easily. You remember this, or you know this. With any group addressing, I can create any groups. The simple way, thanks to KNX, also possible here, of course. You can extend, of course, this with any further devices, either no problem. So a basic installation with these components can be enhanced later on, for example. If you want for a simple apartment functionality, you can use it as a standalone solution with a small KNX power supply. Of course, this is still necessary, otherwise it does not work, but could be also an option. And wiring is simple, in principle only all inputs to this device, all outputs, and then you have already a basic KNX solution with internal connections between in and outputs, and with the option to create some more functions like grouping, or together with other devices some more functionality. So not in every project necessary, but we have some nice projects with this solution, and you see it's a kind of niche product, but makes sense sometimes. Switch actuators, I think well known, but a small summary here. We have a big range, a big family of KNX switch actuators, starting from 6 ampere up to 20 ampere, also with high inrush current. So startup current is a topic depending on the load. from 2 up to 12 channels in one device. Yeah? That's our family, some with, or the most of them with manual operation, only the small 6 ampere devices without, but we have now also 6 ampere with manual operation. You see it here. And here you see with current detection. What does it mean? We have also the option to measure the load current per relay, just to monitor the load behind. For example, a lamp load can be monitored this way if you know the current and you know the threshold for the nominal current and you know the position of the relay. You can evaluate this and check, is the load working, yes or no. A big topic is to select the right switch actuator depending on your load, which has to do with the power behind, with the kind of load behind. And there we are very, let me say, honest and clear in our statement because we have a selection table. In the selection table we give you a lot of information regarding the relays and also depending on the load, how much power per relay can be connected. So it makes it very easy to select the right device without wasting any money by using the component with two big loads or big relays. And so it makes it much easier to find the most cost-efficient solution here. You find this in our range overview, this selection table, but also in the technical documentation of the switch actuator, of course. Yeah, and DALI, something you should know, of course, as well. ABB is offering for many years already DALI gateways. And up to now we have 6 different devices. So either here a big family covering all requirements on the market. Yeah? Starting from a simple 8-volt DALI gateway to connect DALI ballast and operation only via broadcast, means no individual access for the lamp. Then the next one here, which gives you individual access to each of the 64 lamps connected. If you want, you can operate them completely individually, but also via groups. And you program this in the ETS via group addresses. If you need less groups, up to 16 only, lighting groups, very often this DGS116 one will be used, which uses DALI addressing, which makes it a bit easier and faster to create groups, and but only sensible or useful if you have maximum 16 groups necessary. So these are the mostly used DALI gateways for most of the applications, but here another one, more or less, let me say, an extension of the DGS116 one to connect self-contained emergency lighting, to create a consistent solution of standard lighting, emergency lighting based on DALI, and of course controlled via a complete KNX solution. So this is very specific, but in some projects very successful product where you would like to create such a consistent solution. And these other 2 devices, one for the distribution board installation and one for the decentralized installation, DALI gateway with integrated controller for constant light control. Means you connect here light sensors, and then you have also constant light control based on a DALI KNX gateway available. Yeah, a big family, and thanks to our IBUS tool, also very special features. The DALI addressing or detection of DALI addresses, the DALI grouping can be done easily here together with our IBUS tool, because we have here a real graphical environment to detect the DALI addresses, to create groups as necessary. Also this emergency lighting component will be supported here with some more features. So a very, let me say, user-friendly, for the system integrator, user-friendly solution to design and commission these DALI gateways from ABB. If you use constant light control, you have an additional step, or an additional step is necessary: calibration of constant light control. Something we have to do, and thanks to our IBUS tool support, also a very simple and clear way how to do, and in a very short time you have done the calibration without using the ETS and complicated assignment of group addresses and monitoring and so on. So also here a big benefit if you use the ABB DALI gateway for constant light control together with this IBUS tool. Yeah, and some special products additionally here. If you remember our last webinar, we were talking about this already in our last webinar, so very short only here. components like these, which are only connected to KNX with some specific intelligence inside. Monitoring unit EUBS 1.1 for monitoring of KNX devices. Just to monitor, is a component still working or still existing? Sometimes necessary. Possible with this component here. Fault monitoring unit, for detection and processing of fault signals, for example in a hospital or any industrial facility. So also a specific solution. And here the data logging unit, which allows you to detect operating hours of selected circuits, power circuits in your KNX installation, but also switching cycles. For example, you would like to monitor operating hours of your lighting system in order to replace after a certain time all light fixtures. Things like these are possible with these components. And also well known and not new, but also powerful, our logic modules and application units. The name says it already. It has to do with logical functions like a PLC, but not only. In the logic module you'll find also some very specific functions like format converter, but also simple functions like light scene management or time functions. And the application unit time is a big timer, plus, let me say, also a telegram multiplier for creating out of one telegram many new and more telegrams, for example. For example, for very comprehensive light scenes, quite useful. Also here, a webinar was already conducted some months ago. If you want, you can look there to get some more details around this. This application unit logic has a graphical environment which makes also designing and finally also testing very user-friendly. So no, let me say, text-oriented programming, but a graphical environment, so you get a better overview and see what you are doing right now. Like in a graphic environment of a PLC, for example. And here a component not so often used and maybe not so well known, but still in use. It's a so-called universal I/O concentrator. What does it mean? In principle, it's a 32-channel component. Each channel can be programmed either as an input or also as an output. So very flexible and a lot of channels in one device. Typical application is to connect a lot of digital binary signals at the same location. For example, fault signals. Or a lot of buttons have to be connected here to such a device. And if you use channels as an output, you cannot connect directly a powerful load, no 230 volt load, because we have here a 12 or 24 volt DC power supply necessary. So it's made for connecting LEDs or any indication lamps or whatever with up to 80 milliampere. And the input function mainly used is comparable with classical binary input, with all these functions from switching up to dimming, creating light scenes, and also multiple operation means by pressing many times you activate a certain power circuit, for example. Also flashing, if you connect an LED, for example, as an output, is either here available. And then my final part, the Busch presence detectors. So products coming from our sister company, Buschega, available since the beginning of this year. And very nice and powerful products. My message here, best in design and functionality. First of all, the design of the components which are available. 5 in total. In principle, we have a component called Busch Presence Detector Mini with a smaller detection area. And the standard version has a bigger detection area. Each is available in 2 different software versions. I come to this on the next slide. Regarding design, available in white or in silver aluminium, but with the same functionality. And we have a so-called Busch Watchdog Sky, a component you use if you have buildings or rooms with a very high ceiling. For example, any stocks or any warehouses where you have to detect also movement. So it's not a real presence detector anymore, but more watchdog, but for ceilings up to, I think, 20 meters around. Yeah, the way of installation, normally you have a hole in the ceiling, and with these springs you can easily install it in the hole of the ceiling. If not possible, we have also these surface mounting boxes here, where you can install these presence detectors and install it then wall mounted. And if we look to some software features at least, you see here the Bush presence detector KNX, which has 12 meters presence detections. So in diameter here, a circle in principle with 3-meter installation height. And there are a lot of software functions depending on the type you choose. The basic version has less, the premium version has more functions. So you can choose, basic and premium have both also these functions shown here. I give you only a small impression of the performance of these devices. For example, you can use 2 power off stages. What does it mean? After the switch off time, you do not switch off completely the light, but go down to a lower dimming level, if dimmer are connected, of course. And then after another time, you switch off the light, for example. Yeah. We have in the premium version constant light control. You know already from the former version, but something very specific, integrated room temperature controller. So in principle, temperature measurement and controller functions is integrated in such a premium version. Yeah. Additionally, infrared receiver. So with any infrared handheld, you can get access via this component to your KNX installation to operate anything remotely. And many more functions, very powerful. And if you go to the mini version, which is the same in principle, but only different in the detection area, means 8-meter presence with 3-meter installation height. But the rest is the same. And so it's a big and nice family of new presence detectors, and available since the beginning of this year, and already very successful, and can only be recommended to our customers to use. Yeah, and then I hand over to Jürgen right now, who will follow. He will follow now with the topic security and KNX. Just a moment, please.
Hello and welcome to the second part of this webinar. My name is Jürgen Schilder and I'm continuing this webinar. Firstly, let me start with the security solutions based on KNX, followed by some technical or hardware features and software features of our DNRail components, and at least some words about training and marketing material. Yeah, security and the history. ABB launched the first security panel 40 years ago. This was in the year 1975. So now, up to date, we have experience in more than 40 years of security applications. Some years ago, we integrated these security features into the KNX world. And today we have different kind of levels of security based in KNX. The first one is we have some basic solutions, like when we use here our so-called KNX security terminal. The security terminal is a kind of binary input where we can connect all our conventional intrusion alarm sensors, like magnetic read contacts, glass break detectors, or our arming devices. And these inputs here are monitored via end-of-line resistor, like we have it in a real standalone intrusion alarm panel. Additionally, inside we have the alarm logic, the same like in our standalone intrusion alarm panel, how to set, for example, the system internally, externally, delayed, at once, and all these features are here inside. Additionally, we have 3 relays. For example, we can use one relay to connect our siren, which is installed outside the building, an internal siren, or some other indicators. So we need no additional hardware for this kind of basic solution of security in our KNX world. But do not forget, we need here also our KNX power supply, and we recommend to use the KNX uninterruptible power supply. This is for example a solution for small apartments when it's enough to have here 8 of these intrusion alarm zones. So the advanced solution is to use additionally so-called security module, which now is doing the alarm logic, and we have more than one of our security terminals. For example, it can be endless numbers of security terminals. The eightfold with 8 inputs, we have security terminals with 4 inputs, or here a decentralized, the small one, the MTU, with 2 inputs or 2 zones. So these devices works like inputs. We can connect still our motion detectors, our magnetic read contacts, arming devices, and then the security terminals send the information to our central alarm logic, which is now our security module. And here we have the same. It works like our standard standalone intrusion alarm panel with the logic, internal set, external set, delayed setting. Additionally, we have an event log inside, which records the last 250 events. For example, when was the system set, time and date, or which sensor made an alarm, including the name of the sensor. Each of the sensor can get a name with up to 14 characters, and all these things are here stored inside the event log. And via, for example, the Comfort Touch, we can read out the event log here of this security module, or we can see here which zone is triggered. For example, in which room a window is open, and so on. And via a standard KNX sensor, we can send here a command and we can set our system internally or externally. One of the security module can evaluate up to 64 different zones, which are sent maybe here by our KNX security terminals. When we need more than 64 zones, we can add here more security modules, which works as a slave, and totally we can have a master-slave system, which is based on 8 slaves and 1 master. 8 slaves multiplied 64 zones. Totally we can have one security system, a real KNX security system with up to 512 zones. So this is the maximum size of a solution based on security terminals and security modules. And here you can see such an overview of a system with KNX security components. Never forget, we need our KNX power supply, the uninterruptible one, connected to the battery. Additionally, a 12-volt uninterruptible power supply, also here connected to battery. So in case of power failure, our system is still running. So we have here our central logic, our security module, and here different number of security terminals, and the magnetic read contacts, motion detectors, and glass break detectors, water detectors, for example, are connected to this different kind of security terminals. And the cabling here is monitored via our end-of-line system, like we have it in a standalone intrusion alarm system. So for the alarming, we use a switch actuator. For outside alarming, the local alarming, we can use our strobe light and a siren, and for internal alarming, we have here our internal siren. Additionally, we can send messages via our telephone gateway, via email, voice messages, or also SMS here is possible. So, and a lot of other KNX devices for switching the light, controlling the shutter, and so on. And depending our system state, we set or unset the system. Also, the other KNX devices is listening and reacts. In case of an intrusion alarm, for example, the siren goes on, and the information reach also here our switch actuator, and all lights go on. For example, the shutter drive in a position up, and so on. The professional solution we can fulfill with our new KNX security panel, the GMA, which we launched last year. This security panel is now available worldwide. It is a new KNX intrusion alarm system, which has inside the KNX interface. It is built here inside. Additionally, there's an IP interface inside. A modem is inside, so we can send also here SMS or voice messages. Via the IP, we can send emails in case of an alarm. And of course, we can send all status messages here into our KNX world. And from security terminals, we can send also messages or status here inside our panel and use the panel as an additional alarm logic. For operation, we can do everything via KNX or via here our separate security keypads. The complete commissioning of the system, for example the programming of all our modules like our zone modules or motion detectors or arming device, we do it here via IP. So we need only a standard browser, which can be the laptop or for example a tablet. It's also possible. So this here is the professional solution. Here you can see the web user interface of the security panel. So here's a screenshot of a standard web browser, and via the mouse you can click here in the menu for operation and display, see the status of the panel. We can set or unset here the panel, or read out here the event log. The user management, for example, is possible. We can have different kind of users, different user rights, and here the system integrator, depending on his user rights, he has access to the programming menu, and here he can do the complete programming of the panel. So also a special device of ABB is a so-called meter interface, ZSS. This interface we use it, for example, to connect our energy meter. At the moment we have the new series of meter, our EQ meters, the A series and the B series, and all of these meters, they have on the left side an infrared interface. And now here you can see our meter interface, which has on the right side this infrared interface. So we can put here our meter interface tied together to our meter, and then we get all measured values from the meter here to KNX. Inside this meter interface there is no logic or threshold, is only to send all measured values from the meters here into the KNX world. So the meter interface is not really new. You can also here connect the former energy meter like the Delta or the Odin or other meters. So for measuring the energy in a room, we have launched our so-called energy actuator or energy module. The energy actuator is a switch actuator which has integrated here our features of an energy meter. So he's measuring the energy in the room. Additionally, we have here intermediate meter, and so for example we can measure the energy from switching the light on, for example which is connected to channel A, up to switch off the light. So now in the morning when you switch on the light and you leave your office at the evening, really you can see your used energy maybe here on your Comfort Touch or on another system. So for measuring the energy without switching, we can use the energy module. For example, when there are still switch actuator installed, or we use dim actuator, then we can install such an energy module after existing KNX devices. So via KNX, for example, we cannot send a command to our energy meter like a reset or something. The only thing is we can send a command and switch the tariff. There are some meters which have up to 4 tariffs, and depending on the user, we can send here a command and then he's using one of another tariff. So here you can see again the principle. We have our energy meter with the infrared interface on the left side, and the meter interface here put it on the same row, really tied together, and then he sent via this infrared interface the values here into our KNX world. So more details you can find on our website. Go to the product family, to the meters, and then we have here additional product information as a PDF file in German and English available. And here you can see all the ETS settings depending on your meter. So there's a kind of selection table. You can say, okay, I have this meter, the B series, A series, the version gold, silver. Then you can select and click, and then you get the settings of all the different parameters in the ETS. So this helps you really to choose the correct parameter inside the ETS. Of course, you can use the IBUS tool again to see the measured values here of the energy actuator or the energy module. On the first page we see here the meter values, so the kilowatt hours of each of the 3 channels or of the total device. And on the next page you can see the values, the current, the voltage, the frequency, for example. And additionally, with these 3 buttons here, you can switch also the different outputs A up to C. Some words about shutter control. We have done it in one of our last webinar, but we want also to show you or to introduce you a special device which is called our so-called shutter control unit, JSBS. This device knows the position of the sun depending on the time and date and where the device is installed. So this shutter control unit, when you go into the parameter, you have to set here the parameter, the longitude and attitude of this building where it is installed, and then he receives the time and date via KNX, and then he knows the position of the sun. It's inside calculated. And then, depending if someone is in the room or not and the sun is shining, he sends automatically commands to the shutter actuator, and the shutter actuator drives up and down the lamellas, the slats, and changes automatically the angle of the lamella. So for example, at high noon, the sun is here in the highest position. He opens here the shutter, and the lamellas are here in this position, the horizontally position. And then in the afternoon, the sun is really going slowly down. He drives the shutter down and closes the lamella step by step. So we can still sit here in the office, work on your PC, and you cannot see here maybe the sunrises in your eyes. Good, here's the principle of the components we need. At first we need for controlling our shutters, our standard push button, our KNX sensor for manually up and down, and additionally one button to activate the automatic mode. Or we can do it, for example, also via time switch. So when the automatic mode is activated, the shutter actuator is listening no more to our rocker 1, he's listening to our shutter control unit. The shutter control unit knows the time and date, and if it's sun or no sun, and then the shutter control unit sends the command to our different kind of outputs of the shutter actuator, open or close and drive up and down. We have here a lot of features inside. For example, or we can also set here a parameter if there is a tree or another building in front of some windows, which gives also shades to the facade of our building. All things are here possible. Some of you maybe know some intelligent motors, so-called SMI motors. This is not worldwide known, but what is behind? Some years ago, the manufacturers of the shutter motors have joined together and founded the SMI group. It is nearly the same like we have it in the DALI world. Behind SMI there is this SMI group. You can visit also the website, and this SMI group, the manufacturers have intelligent motors. So these motors needs only the energy, the phase, neutral, protection earth, and two cores with digital signals to control the motor. So it works nearly like DALI. So via a special actuator it is possible to send commands to this intelligent motor, for example with very precise positioning. For example, it depends on the motor, 2 degrees per steps are possible. But the main advantage is that these intelligent motors can give back also status, feedback. For example, if the motor is driving up and down or rotating, of course the position of the motor or the motor has a defect. That's also possible. And to control these intelligent SMI motors, we have 2 different kind of actuators. On the market there are SMI motors available, 230 volt version. Then we use here, for example, this actuator, or to control 24 volt DC, so-called low voltage SMI motors. Then we can use here this kind of SMI motors, SMI actuator, the low voltage. So there's also a kind of wireless standard, which is the so-called EnOcean standard. Behind EnOcean there is the EnOcean Alliance. Also a group of manufacturers have joined together and specified here this wireless EnOcean standard. Wireless means that all these devices, for example mainly sensors, motion detector, magnetic read contacts, sensors, have no battery inside. They're based on energy harvesting. Like for example, the room thermostat here has solar cells, or here the motion detector, presence detector has also here kind of solar cells, or the sensors, they have piezo elements. So now when we press here the rocker, by pressing the rocker we create the energy which is enough to send a telegram via wireless here to our EnOcean gateway. This ABB device receive the EnOcean telegram and converted it into KNX telegrams. It's a very nice solution when maybe it's not possible to install twisted pair KNX sensors or temperature sensors or motion detectors in the room, maybe when you have a lot of glass or when you don't know exactly the position. So the main advantage is we can still use our IBUS tool. So we start the IBUS tool, connect via to the EnOcean gateway, and then we can see, for example, the signal strength of the EnOcean device. So we have totally 32 channels, and each channel can listen up to 5 EnOcean devices, EnOcean sensors for example, and then we press one rocker and then we can see the signal strength. It's okay of the sensor, yes or no, or maybe we have to change the installation place of the EnOcean sensors 1-2 meters left or right, for example, and then it's really a good, nice tool. So now let me introduce you some software features of nearly all our ABB devices, which is a so-called conversation of the ETS application. So we have, or all KNX devices have a ETS application with a different kind of version. So we started, for example, with the application version 1, then we have maybe a bug fixing, or we add a new parameter, and then we count from 1 to 10, 1 to 2 to 3, 4, and so on. So when you have a problem or a device does not work correctly, you give a call to the technical support, and then the colleague wants to know which version of the application is inside the KNX device. And now when we overwork a new application or we do bug fixing, then it's recommended here to convert the existing application. And it's very easy by using our ABB devices. So I explain you step by step how. For example, in our ETS project, excuse me, we have the existing DALI gateway 1.16.1 with the ETS application 1.1a. So this is an application which is some year old. Today the latest version is the 1.1.3, and now we want to replace the 1.1a with has linked group addresses which have also a lot of parameters by using the 1.1.3. It's not very difficult. At first we download a new version 1.3 from our internet, from our web page. We import this new product data into the ETS. We insert this device in the same line, and then we click here on the new not parameterized DALI gateway, right mouse click, plug in, and then you can see here the button conversion. Click here on the button conversion, and then a new window pops up, a special plugin, which says, okay, the new version is now 1.1.3b, and we can here convert the existing former version, which is here, our 1.1a, into the new one. So click on the button yes, and then additionally you can select here the source, which is the DALI gateway with the version 1.1a. The target device is our new one, 1.1.3a. We click on the button start, and then the existing device with the parameters and the group addresses is now converted in the one with the new 1.1.3b. After this conversion, we delete the former device, the old one with the version 1.1, change the individual address of the new one to the address which the device before had, and download the application. This is all. So you have not to touch the parameters or to assign the group addresses, and though you can react very flexible in case if you want, there's the need to convert here the application. Another nice feature is to copy and exchange the channel of a device. I think very nice when we have here devices like our switch actuator with 12 channels. So we can do the settings for one channel, channel A for example, and then right mouse click in the ETS and copy the settings with or without group addresses to the other channels. Like for example here, you click here on the device, right mouse click, plug in, copy and exchange, and then a new new window pops up, and here you can select your output A and select here your destination channels B, C, F, what you want, and press here the button copy. Depending on this button, with group addresses or without group addresses, all parameter settings from channel A are now copied to your selected channel. The same is also possible with exchange. Exchange means you can only change one channel, for example from the source C here with your destination channel. By clicking you exchange the data, for example the parameters, and if you want also the group addresses. So nearly all our ABB IBUS KNX devices need no additional or auxiliary supply voltage. So we have a lot of nice features inside, and one is also a feature that we can set a parameter what should happen when there's a bus voltage failure, like in our switch actuator or a shutter actuator, fan coil actuator. So we can set a parameter here for each of the channel in case of reaction on bus voltage failure, open or close the contact or keep it unchanged. In a shutter actuator, we can drive up or down in a safety position, for example our motor. But how can such an actuator switch the relays? Yeah, we have no KNX voltage and the device needs also no auxiliary voltage. We have solved it by using so-called capacitors. So here you can see in our switch actuator 3 big capacitors. They are full loaded, and now when there's a KNX failure, then these capacitors are able to switch all the relays one time. So each of the 12 relays can be changed, switched on or switched off or keep the position. The same principle here in our shutter actuator. You can see here the shutter actuator with 8 outputs, and here are the capacitor for each output. Again, some words about our switch and shutter actuator. All switch or the switch actuator are, for example, are designed to switch the load, like here our socket outlets or the light circuits. To control shutter and blinds, we are using so-called shutter actuator, because a shutter motor has here one input for driving, for example, up and one for down. So inside our shutter actuator we have a relay which can have the position for up or for driving down. What is possible to use, for example, a shutter actuator, also to control to use it as a switch output. Here in one room, for example, we have 2 motors, so you can use output A for one motor, shutter motor, output B. Output C can be used for switching the light, and output D, for example, for another light. So this is possible to use a shutter output as a switch output. But a switch actuator for shutter application, this is not possible. How and why? Because to control a shutter motor, we have here the input for driving up and for driving down. And in our shutter actuator, we have relays inside which are mechanically interlocked. So it cannot be possible that the motor gets energy at the same time for driving up and down. And when you use a switch actuator, like competitors have it, then it can happen that the motor can get energy for up and down. But here with the ABB devices, it is not possible. Some words about the housing of our KNX devices. ABB, we have here only our standard connection terminals, which offers, for example, your high flexibility, and it is very easy, for example, for wiring or for measuring. So we have here only one level, channel A, B, C, D, and so on. Sometimes it's a discussion to reduce the size of a housing by having the same channels. How you can do it? When you use it like here, you have a housing and you have here double level connection terminals. Here, for example, channel A behind channel B, channel C, channel D, and so on. We don't have this solution, because here you are not really flexible and it's really difficult sometimes when you want to test here the row or the level which is behind, because here is your other cable like you see it here. And here to open this screw, at first we have to open this screw, remove this cable and so on. So we don't think that this is a good solution. That's why we still have here only our one level connection terminals. So some words about our marketing tools. At first we have our e-learning modules on our website. The e-learning modules are kind of animated PowerPoint presentations, which works like a kind of movie. It is available in German and English language. It gives you a small introduction of the energy actuator, for example, security or HVAC. So you can listen these e-learning modules. You have not to subscribe. Please visit our website. And all our webinars we have given now are also available online. So we have launched a new web page. You can see here on this web page all webinars, including the movie and additionally the presentation slides. So you can download these presentation slides and join again the webinar. You can see here the last webinar, which was our ABL, our application, and which was our data logging units, for example, and before DALI and then ABL logic devices. These webinars are also recorded webinars, are also available on YouTube. So when you go to our channel ABB IBUS KNX, you get here also all our recorded webinars and some tutorials available in English and German. Some words about training. We still offer KNX training for customers and ABB colleagues worldwide. Training here in Heidelberg, of course, product training, hand-on training, and also KNX certified trainings. The certified trainings are based on the standards of the KNX Association. Like here, for example, this year in February, we had given here a KNX certified basic course with customers and colleagues from South Korea, El Salvador, Belarus, Morocco, also worldwide. So online you can find also some case notes and references, at the moment 136. Go on our website abb.com/knx, and then you can click here on a different projects, and then you get here more detailed information, how many KNX devices are used and the fields of application. So ABB, we have also built a hotel, but ABB, we don't want to be the owner of a hotel. That's why we have here created a kind of virtual hotel. And the hotel is called now the so-called Better Space Hotel. So via this link, newabb.com/buildings/hotels, you can enter this hotel virtually. And this hotel demonstrates how comfort and energy efficiency works hand in hand together. So when you enter the hotel, you can see the lobby, then you can see the entrance area, the suites, and so you can see all used components and how energy efficiency and KNX and design works together. So please visit this website. For electrical planner and consultants, we have also a kind of nice tool, which is our so-called specification toolbox. This toolbox consists also of a kind of references as PDF files. We have a special kind of text specifications. Additionally, we have CID drawings of some projects as an example. We have here some lists, for example, Excel sheets, how many devices are used. So this is really a good tool which helps the work of electrical planners and consultants. So one of my last slides is to show you some about the quality of our ABB IBUS KNX devices. All these devices are really manufactured here in Germany. The development, our quality manager, everything here is based in Heidelberg, and the factory of the KNX devices is nearby Heidelberg in Hornbeck. But all these devices are really here made in Germany. We are coming to the end of the webinar. Thank you for taking part in this webinar. I would like to recommend you to attend the next webinar. It's very interesting because we introduce you the new IP router and new IP interface. This webinar will take place also on Wednesday, the 28th of October at the same time, 9 o'clock in the morning here German time and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So far, we wish you a nice day and looking forward to the next webinar. Goodbye.
Bye bye. See you next time. Ciao.